two black guys, both from Cleveland. They had just come to Atlanta by the L&N Railroad, and that's where we met. We introduced ourselves to each other, and we discussed that all three of us were going to Tuskegee, and my class ended up with 11 started. In other words, the three of us who met in Atlanta were joined by 8 other guys, which became the second class to go through training. 8 months after we started, on the 19th of August, 1941, 3 of us graduated, and those 3 happened to be the 3 of us who met in Atlanta, coincidentally. 992 black American men won their wings at Tuskegee, almost 1,000, 992. Of that number, 450 saw combat against the Germans in Europe. Most of the rest of those who did not get to combat in Europe were earmarked to fight the Japanese. They did not get a chance to show what they could do in combat because the Japanese surrendered, as you know, as a result of 2 A-bombs in Japan. And that's what the history books tell us. I'd like to think that the Japanese surrendered because they heard that the black pilots were coming. So you believe what you want to, and I believe what I want to. We had a number of white Americans, pilots, instructors, who taught us the best they could and produced the best that the Air Force had. And 200 escort mission, the 332nd, consisting of 4 squadrons, the 99th, the 100th, the 301st, and 302nd, never lost a friendly bomber that we escorted, never. So it was a sort of proof in the pudding that blacks could fly, contrary to a War Department study in 1925 that said blacks could not fly, didn't have the smarts, the courage, the reliability, and so forth. But our record was better than any other outfit in the Air Corps. And this is not to say that we were inherently better, but we certainly were trained very, very well and performed better than any other outfit. We had something motivating us to perfection that white pilots did not have. We dared not fail. If we failed, those who didn't believe that blacks could fly would have the proof to be able to say, we told you they couldn't do it, and they failed, so don't bother them. And for that reason, every one of us who earned those wings had the kind of motivation, dedication, because on our success rode the future of blacks in aviation, and as it was eventually in commercial aviation, and at first militarily. We had to succeed. We could not fail. That's the difference. That's the difference. Seven others of my squad mates and I were sent back to the States to be instructors, to teach the guys coming out with their wings at Tuskegee every month, a new group, being prepared to go overseas, and lacking any kind of training in combat tactics. So the 7 of us ended up eventually at a base in Walterboro, South Carolina, which was the locale of my low point in my career. Because at Walterboro, there were German prisoners of war on the base who could do things that we couldn't do. Specifically, we observed they could go in the base theater and sit anywhere in the theater. We had to sit in the segregated colored section. Furthermore, they could go into the PX cafeteria and eat a meal, and we couldn't go in the building. And those are the 2 things that made me absolutely furious. I mean, I became absolutely outraged. I was furious at our country that we could be treated like that, because after all, we had sworn to defend America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We'd done that. We'd lost some of our buddies in that action, and yet the enemy was here in our country. When I was asked this question, well, why would you and your buddies fight so hard to defend a country that treated you and your people so harshly? I really had to think about that, and I come up with this. When you look at America and compare it to every nation going way back to Egypt, the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, the British Empire, the French Empire, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Russians, the Germans. No other country besides America has demonstrated the ability to change. That's what makes America great. We might stand for certain practices for a long time, then ever I say, no more, enough, no more fire hoses and dog attacking children in Birmingham, no more. What I just related was an answer to your question about why you're so patriotic. And that's why, because this country can change, and it will change. And it's changing now. It's changing now. I had been talking with a master sergeant who happened to have been white, had been in the Army forever, and I had talked to him about what is it like to be in the Army, because you're twice my age, and yet you're a non-commissioned commissioned officer. You're supposed to do what I tell you. I'm not accustomed to that. I'm accustomed to addressing my elders as sir and so forth. And he explained to me some of the Army ways and so forth. And one of the things he had emphasized to be successful, never ask your men to do something that you won't do yourself. And I remembered that. That was a valuable lesson that served me all through my career. You always look out for your men before you look out for yourself. So all the way through my career, even after I left the service, this is the lessons I learned in the military have served me very well. I've had a blessed life.